Stories at this hour. The advance continues. Iraqi government forces bear down on so-called Islamic State in western Mosul. Plus, a military hospital stormed in Afghanistan. An unknown number of gunmen used the cover of a suicide bomber to get inside. And the spies' secrets are revealed. WikiLeaks publishes the largest set of documents on the CIA ever released. Also on the program, like father, like daughter, Paris Jackson follows in her dad Michael's footsteps with her first foray into show business. We begin today in Iraq, where government forces are continuing their assault on the so-called Islamic State in western Mosul. Yesterday, the city's municipal complex was declared liberated by the country's top military commanders and US-led coalition officials. The consistent advance has been a major blow to the extremists who once controlled nearly a third of Iraq. Iraqi forces declared eastern Mosul fully liberated in January after officially launching the operation to retake the city in October. Gunmen have stormed a military hospital in the Afghan capital of Kabul, killing several of those inside. An unknown number of gunmen entered the 400-bed hospital following a suicide bomb attack this morning. The neighborhood is also home to a number of embassies. No one immediately claimed responsibility for the attack, which came exactly a week after the Taliban launched a complex attack in Kabul targeting security forces that killed at least 22 people. Officials are condemning the assault.
A hospital is a protected place in any law, any religion and any faith. An attack on a hospital is an attack on all Afghan people and all Afghan women.
Unfortunately, there are casualties. I express my condolence to those who have lost their loved ones in this incident. The security forces are in action, and we hope that the attack is foiled. But it was a suicide attack, followed by more attacks inside the hospital.
To China now, where officials are proposing North Korea suspend its missile and nuclear tests to defuse a looming crisis. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi suggested in return the US and South Korea could halt their joint military drills, which the North views as a threat. The appeal comes just days after North Korea launched 4 missiles towards Japan. In retaliation, a missile defense system began to be rolled out in South Korea by the US. China has voiced concern over the system being put in place.
As a first step, North Korea could suspend its nuclear and missile activities in exchange for a halt of the large-scale US-South Korea exercises. This suspension for suspension can help us break out of the security dilemma and bring the parties back to the negotiating table. Then we can follow the dual-track approach of denuclearizing the peninsula on the one hand and establishing a peace mechanism on the other hand. Only by addressing the parties concerned in a synchronized, reciprocal manner can a fundamental solution be found to lasting peace and stability in the peninsula.
To the United States, where an investigation is to be carried out by the House Intelligence Committee on President Donald Trump's wiretap claims. Representative Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the committee, says he hopes a hearing later this month will determine in very short order whether there's any truth to the allegations Barack Obama tapped Trump's phones during his campaign. A hearing is scheduled for the 20th of March.
The President has asked our committee to investigate this, and I would say, Mr. President, we accept. We accept. We will investigate this. The President has said that this is a scandal that dwarfs Watergate, that his predecessor engaged in an illegal wiretap of his campaign. That is one potential scandal. The alternative is a different kind of a scandal, and that is a scandal of a sitting U.S. president alleging that his predecessor engaged in the most unscrupulous and unlawful conduct. That is also a scandal if those allegations prove to be false. And we should be able to determine in fairly short order whether this accusation is true or false.
Now, it appears to be the largest leak of CIA documents in history. WikiLeaks has released thousands of pages describing sophisticated software tools used by the agency to break into smartphones, computers, and even internet-connected televisions, all with the intention of spying on citizens. WikiLeaks' official Twitter feed, which is thought to be run by founder Julian Assange, posted a link to the documents yesterday and then followed that up with a password to access the contents. Border officials in Australia are celebrating a huge haul after seizing $246 million worth of drugs. 8 people were also arrested during the operation in Sydney. The Australian police, alongside the border force, said they examined a sea container from the US and found 540 kilograms of methamphetamine in bottles disguised as protein powder. Authorities then substituted the drugs with a white substance and delivered them to the address where the suspects were arrested when they tried to claim the shipments. The seizure is within the top 10 largest in Australian history.
We've had an outstanding period in the last 6 months in respect to the number of detections that were made and big detections. I think it's fair to say that in that 6-month period, you're looking over 5 tonne of illicit drugs and precursors that's been seized. Large numbers, and it's fair to say that also the smaller seizures that we see, the 18,000 that we make each and every day, that continues to increase as well.
We're heading for a short break now, but there's plenty more still ahead, including a review of the day's newspapers. Stay with us.
Our customers are focused, versatile, superheroes. Our customers are also the most important people in our world. So we listen, partner, and give solutions that make a difference in their world. At First Bank, we will always put you first.
You first. First Bank.
The best way to predict the future is to create it. There's a special breed of achievers out there that are called tomorrow's people, the highly creative ones who live in the future. They imagine what will be and strive to make it happen. They are bold. They refuse to wait for the future. Tomorrow bends and conforms to their ideas. At Access Bank, we share the same sentiments. We've been able to grow our bank to become a leading player in Nigeria with a strong presence across the continent, adopting best practice in everything we do. Our mantra for success is simple: speed, service, and security. Those who shape tomorrow, strive for, and demand perfection. At Access Bank, our service culture of speedy response and drive for excellence is the blueprint for creating customer experiences that will echo for generations. Come, let's work together and take tomorrow.
You're watching This Day live with me, Charles Anyegordo. Now let's take a look at the stories making the headlines in some of the world's leading national newspapers this Wednesday morning with our news analyst, John Fashanu. Good to see you, John.
Thank you, Charles.
This Day front page headline
Yes.
story: the Nigerian government targeting 7% growth by 2020 under its economic recovery plan. Some would say wildly ambitious.
Well, Charles, I think it's more of a goodwill story, feel good. You know, whether we can really target 7% when the best we've ever done, even under His Excellency Jonathan, was 6%, it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go beyond saying it's a feel-good story, because I mean, the government are actually predicating a lot of their economic recovery plans on this document that's just been released. You know, the challenge, as you, I suppose, hinted there, will be how to effect 7% growth
Which is
in 3
incredible.
years, because
That's
they want to
phenomenal.
achieve this in 2020, from a contraction
Yes.
of 1.5% last year to 2.19% growth in 2017.
It's a big gap,
Yeah,
isn't there?
how are they going to reach 7% by 2020?
IMF have said 2% GDP.
Well, less than
so
2%, in
less
fact.
than 2%. So how are we going to get to 7%? Maybe they know something which we don't know.
Well,
I'm
that's why
trying
we've got to go through this document. But the other problem, of course, John, which you and I were talking about a minute ago, is that there will be presidential elections in 2019.
where
So,
the distractions come, and of course
Yeah.
everyone needs the money.
well,
You know,
we may not actually see the conclusion of this 4-year economic
Of
plan
course.
if the ruling APC party lose the election.
yes. Do you know something we don't know,
No,
Charles?
I mean, our
Okay.
job is to analyse things, not
Okay.
to sort of,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
we're simply saying that that's a possibility.
And where is the funds going to come? We're looking for donor funding as well.
Well, I think that they're looking to borrow some of that money.
Yes,
but
from
there's
donors.
also, well, yeah, obviously you borrow money from, but I mean the other, projected place where the income is going to come from is hopefully the growth in oil sales.
Yes,
If
yes.
production goes beyond the 2.2 barrels
Yes.
to 2.5 barrels,
Which
a million
again-
barrels, and the income continues to go
Yes.
up.
Which again, of course, government have said that they're expecting an increase in oil prices.
Yeah.
But you can't go on in expectations.
Absolutely.
So, that's okay. I think that I'm still happy with it. I must admit, when I picked it up this morning, I looked at it, analysed it, went through it, and I was very happy with it. But the figures are a little bit high.
Right.
For
Okay.
my
Well, we'll
mind.
see what happens. I think we're hoping to have a government spokesman here tomorrow to digest that
And
economic
clarify it
recovery
all.
plan. But let's move on to the Australian Daily Telegraph.
Yes.
An extraordinary story about
Isn't
a con man who posed as a doctor for 11 years.
11 years, and he was a great con man. Horrible to say. He did operations and all sorts for 11 good years.
That is scary.
In a hospital called Gosfield Hospital, which is in Sydney, and he actually stole the identification of an Indian gentleman when he visited India, and for 11 years he got away with it. How he was able to do that is absolutely incredible and worrying, Charles.
Absolutely. That is what is so astonishing, because I understand he was treating patients, including emergency cases.
Yes, he was.
I suppose the only way that he could have got away with it is that he was in that hospital as a junior doctor, which meant
Precisely.
he didn't take the
Yes.
lead, but had
Yes.
to sort of be there with other more senior doctors.
Yes. Well, the incredible thing was the medical board passed him 3 times. He was very well respected and very well liked. And as the health minister said, they had never had any complaints about that particular gentleman.
Extraordinary.
So it seems like he was doing quite a good job, even though he was a 419 fake.
Unfortunately, John, we're out of time. I'm being told in my ear, but John Fashanu, our news analyst there, thank you very
Thank
much
you very much.
indeed.
Thank you.
Well, to business now, and the first high-profile corruption ruling secured by the Muhammadu Buhari administration. A high court in Yola, Adamawa State, has sentenced its former governor to 5 years imprisonment without the option of a fine. James Bala Ngilari was found guilty of corruption charges brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Well, a little earlier, my colleague in London, David Glencore, spoke to African business analyst Bode Oshosami about this. He began by asking what this case says about corruption in Nigeria.
Well, it's symbolic, certainly, because we have never had a former governor going to jail. 25 vehicles procured at the cost of 167 million naira, we understand, without following due process. And the EFCC have been able to pursue this case right to the end, culminating in a 5-year jail sentence, although they say they are going to appeal, but at least it's a start. The way I tend to look at these things is to focus more on the institutions